Hey, what's up? Welcome back. In the Discord this week for this channel, we were talking about premium starting hands and how valuable they are. Well, it inspired me to put together this challenge. I am not leaving the poker table until I get 10 premium starting hands, bust out and have no money left to rebuy, or the game breaks. My premium starting hands are Ace King, 10s plus. That's it. I am very nervous that I'm going to be there all night, but I'm committing to this challenge. Let's get to the table.
I'm never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap, got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass survive, doing 80 to the house, then I hit it to the sky, change haters on a tirade, talking to the grip and the face be still.
I'm settling in for what I expect is going to be a long night to get 10 premium hands, and we have a bomb pot for the first major hand of interest that we'll be playing. Jack 9 of spades are the weapons for this one, and the flop looks really nice. Top 2 on a board that has a flush draw, middle position bets $50. I'm going to raise it up to $150 and try to pick up some value from a flush draw or Jack X hands that don't have 2 pair. We get the call. The turn is the 2 of hearts. Checks to me, and I'm going to ship it since the opponent has just under $200 remaining. He makes the call. The river's an 8. I flip up my hand, and the chips are coming our way. Great start to the night. 15 minutes after the bomb pot win, and we found the first of the 10 premium hands with a pair of pocket 10s. A new player sits down and throws out a $20 open. While I'm getting my camera situated, I missed a call from a player in between us, and I called in the small blind. The flop comes out 5-9 queen, 2 spades. I check, under the gun continues for $50. Now this is a heavy bet, but I'm going to make the call one time and assess. The turn is the king of spades. I check again, and once again my opponent bets 50. I debate jamming because he's only got about $300 left. I'm blocking all of the premium nutty hands, but I'm also blocking some of the drawing combinations, and the price is insane to just try to realize. For that reason, I decided to just throw in the call here. The river's the 4 of spades. I check to him again, and hope that the spade I'm holding is good enough. He checks it back, and it turns out 10 of spades is high enough, and the chips are coming our way. An hour and a half goes by before I see another playable hand. I pick up king-queen offsuit in the hijack, and the low jack raises to $20 over 2 limps. I raise it up to $65. The button calls cold, and the low jack comes along as well. The flop is jack of diamonds, 8 of clubs, 5 of hearts. Multi-way without a made hand. I'm just going to check this spot, and it checks through. The turn is the 10 of clubs. Now we're open-ended with 2 overs. So when there's a bet of $50, I'm going to make the call, and the button calls as well. The river is the king of diamonds. The hijack checks this time. I'm going to bet $100, and the button pays us off with a bit of value. We're 2.5 hours into the session when the second premium hand shows up. Ace King of Hearts this time. I'm raising to $100 after a middle position open to 20 and 2 callers. I still get 2 callers, including the original opener. The flop is hot garbage. 10-5-3 rainbow. Action checks through. Turns a 4. Small blind bets $225. I don't know what I can do here, but I'm definitely not calling. I let this one go. Well, we are 3 hours into this challenge, and I may have made a huge mistake. We've got 2 premium hands. We have 8 more to go, and at the current rate, this is going to be a 15-hour grind session. I am nervous that I might be in for a long night. We're up right now about $400, so can't complain too much. Let's see what we can do from here. The third premium hand shows up just over 4 hours into the night. It's Ace King offsuit this time, and we're in the cutoff. The hijack raises to $25, and I raise it up to $80. The hijack calls. The flop is 6-4-3 rainbow. He checks. I'm going to continue here for $65, and he makes the call. The turn is the king of spades, which is great for us, and it does add a spade draw. The hijack checks, and I bet $170 this time. He makes the call again. The river's the 10 of spades. My opponent checks. I tank for a bit, before deciding that it's unlikely that I can get a call from a worse hand on this run out, as I'm not expecting my opponent to hold better than a medium pair, and I think it's going to be really tough to get a call from worse here. If he's holding something like pocket 8s, which seems reasonable to me, he'd be calling with third pair when a flush has come in, and that seems pretty unlikely. I debate it for quite a while before checking back, but ultimately just decide that I don't think I can get paid by worse.
I don't think I'm getting called by worse. I'll check.
And we're good. Premium hand number 4 is pocket kings in the hijack. 2 limpers in front of me, and I raise it to $30. I get 4 callers. Not good news when you hold pocket kings. Everybody's out to bust us. The flop is 7-6-7 with 2 clubs. I bet $70 and I get a caller. The turn is the 3 of clubs. Just threw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm no longer beating enough to want to keep growing this pot, so I'm going to go ahead and check. Pretty much given up. We're just going to try to get to showdown until the river is the king of spades. My opponent bets $190, and I'm raising the state max of $300 to make it $490. The opponent thinks for a while, but decides on a fold. Must not have had the clubs. Bummer. A little bit later, I pick up ace-5 of clubs in the low jack and raise to $25. I get 3 callers this time. The flop is jack of clubs, 10 of clubs, 8 of diamonds. The small blind leads for $45, and I make the call. The turn is the ace of diamonds. Opponent bets $45 again. Now this could be a drawing hand, but I'm holding clubs, and I would love for him to have a lower club and for the flush to come in so we can make the maximum. I decide to call and hope that the 3rd club shows up. The river is the 9 of spades. Terrible river card, especially when my opponent bets $100. I really can't beat anything that he's willing to bet here unless he is turning something like 7-8 of clubs into a bluff. I fold. He shows queen jack offsuit for the straight. This might be the craziest hand I played this year. We're playing deep at about 300 big blinds for this hand, and a fairly active opponent opens to $15. I'm holding pocket sevens, and this game has not had much of any 3-betting without the goods. Therefore, I feel fine throwing in the call to try to hit a set. The cutoff calls behind me, and then the button makes a small 3-bet up to $45. The low jack calls. We're plenty deep enough here to call the $45 and try to hit the set. That's the setup. Now, pour yourself a strong drink, pop some popcorn, and get comfortable, because things are about to get spicy. The cutoff now reveals to the table that he's a lunatic by re-raising to $345. A lunatic, you say? Yes. Because either he called with a really strong hand in a spot that he knew he should raise, or he called with a fairly marginal hand to try to see a cheap flop, and then decided, you know what, there's too much money out there, I'm just going to try to steal it here. I think it's the latter. I think he's out of line here. Here's what I said in the moment.
Can't be that good.
Now let me be clear. This is a spot that can easily be wrapped up. Accept that he's making a great move, give him the nod, great play, buddy, fold the $45 away, knowing that the chips in the stack won't be at risk, and hold the low variance. But sometimes, when you're running an okay poker vlog for YouTube, you just have to accept the variance and say, this one is for the crowd! So I throw in the call. So let me break down my thought process here. My thought is that my opponent probably has something like a small pocket pair that I'm beating at this moment. I'm really only worried about like pocket eights. I think that most of his hands will be things like small pocket pairs, some suited connectors, and a mix of some weaker suited aces that weren't willing to raise the first time around, but then just too much dead money was there, so he decided to make a move. I should be ahead of that range most of the time, and I threw in the call. The flop is 9-9 deuce. I check, he bets $300, and I called. I think a raise would be very worthwhile for putting in here to deny equity from hands that include overs. The turn is a clean 3, and I check to him. He bets $300 again. I called, but at this point, I really hate my play. Should definitely be raising by the turn, if not on the flop. In a normal hand where he can be polarized to either really good hands or really garbage hands, then I should just be check calling. But in a spot where I don't actually believe him, I think I need to check raise him to just wrap the hand up and deny the equity from any of the overcards that he might have that he can draw out to. Anyway, I make the call. The river is a 10 of spades. I check. He bets $300 again. I throw in the call, and here's how it played out.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Hold on. I have to film this trash. Wow.
Man, congrats to my opponent on winning a huge pot in a fun hand. Now, my opponent didn't want me to show his face on the vlog, and I think that's just to protect his identity and protect his game. So after this wild play, I want to respect his wishes by protecting Rob's anonymity. See, I believe Rob's business is Rob's business, and for Rob's sake, I'm therefore going to leave Rob's identity out of this. It's going to be unmentioned so that his play is not known by the rest of the local poker community. Rob, you're welcome. All right, we're closing in on midnight now when premium hand number 5 shows up. Ace-King offsuit this time. The hijack opens to $15. I re-raise to $50. He makes the call. The flop is fine for my hand when I have 2 overs and a gut shot on Queen 10-6. He checks. I bet $35 going about a third of the pot, and he makes the call. The turn is the ace of spades. Beautiful. I bet $100 here, hoping that my opponent will hang around with a queen. He chooses not to stick around and folds. The deck now recognizes that we're on a time crunch and delivers another premium hand back-to-back in the very next one with pocket jacks. There's a limper, then under the gun 1 opens to $20. My guy from the last hand makes the call, and now I bump it up to $90. I still get 2 callers. The flop is great for pocket jacks. Deuce, 5, 7 with 2 diamonds. Checks to me, and I continue for $150. Only the low jack makes the call. The turn, Jablasmo! The jack of spades to give us top set. I'm holding the jack of diamonds, so it's less likely that my opponent is calling with a flush draw, and slightly more likely that he is holding some kind of medium pair. I bet $200 to target this holding, and he does make the call. River's the 10 of clubs. I bet the state max $300 per street, and my opponent throws in the call. Not sure what he had, but I'm sure that those chips are heading this way. Almost an hour and a half goes by before another quality hand shows up. I'm playing the button when the cutoff raises to $30. I re-raise to $100, and you're going to notice a theme here. I still get 2 callers. We don't fold much to 3-bets at this table. The flop is Jack 4 Deuce Rainbow. I bet $125 when it checks to me. Now, we shouldn't be playing against too many jacks after 3-betting pre-flop, but the cutoff does make the call. Turn is the 5 of clubs, adding a flush draw. He checks to me, and my plan was to try to get to a cheap showdown if my flop bet was called. I check as well. The river is the 8 of clubs, completing a backdoor flush draw. Not really worried about that. The only flush draw that would make sense here is ace-jack of clubs. My opponent bets $300. Now this is a strange bet based on the way the hand is played. I don't think he should do this with a jack. He really shouldn't have many sets other than 8s that hit the river based on the $100 pre-flop call. So based on the few value combos that make sense here and the size of the pot, I'm getting too good of a price to fold when I can't identify many logical hands that would have made it to the river and then would take this line for value. I toss in the call and he shows 4-5 of diamonds for a very disguised 2 pair. I think we can agree that $100 pre-flop with 4-5 of diamonds, a little bit out of line here. I've been playing pretty tight and straightforward for hours at this point, so I decided to mix in some lower board coverage with a suited 1-gapper from the hijack. I raised to $20 with 6-8 of hearts and get 3 callers. The flop is 8-3-3, and I let this one check through since there's a diamond draw that is calling if I bet, and I don't really want to bloat this pot here 4 ways. I'm fine playing some small ball here unless another 8 or 6 shows up. I check to the cutoff who bets $45. Everyone else folds, and I throw in the call. The turn is another 8. I'm going to check again and hope that the cutoff continues to bet, thinking he's good with something like a 3. I check again. He bets $100. I still think that my best chance to get paid here by worse is to continue to play this line as I might with a pocket pair. This will allow him to continue to bet any hands that he thinks he can bluff me with, and some value hands that are worse than mine, so I call. The river's a 4, and I check. My opponent goes for some thin value with a bet of $125. My raise is going to look really strong on this board, but I'm going to hope that he has something like an ace-3 suited and will pay off a raise to $300. My opponent tanks for a long time, long enough that another player at the table ends up calling the clock. The cutoff reluctantly calls, and we get to scoop a nice big pot here, said that he was holding a higher pocket pair to the board.
Okay, 1 a.m. and we've had 7 big hands so far. That means we're not done. I don't know, it's kind of streaky coming and going, but we need to hit 3 more, and I'm breaking some of my own rules here, because normally when I'm out of the session, I don't play once I'm tired. Once I'm tired, it's time to go home. But that said, we've had some wild hands, maybe one of my favorite hands of the year. Even though I played it poorly, Man, it was exciting. Can't wait to share that one with you guys. Let's get back in there.
For this one, I raise over a limper on the button with King Jack offsuit to $30. The big blind and the limper both call. The flop is fantastic with 2 pair. The big blind now leads out for $25. Under the gun folds, and I raise it up to $75. He makes the call with about $300 left. The turn is a 6, and he calls a $100 bet, which sets up for the jam on the river. The river's a queen, and he jams $200. Hearts have missed, but I'm not sure that this opponent will put this much in with a missed draw. I think that it's more likely he's holding a king, queen jack, or king queen. I'm not folding here. I have 2 pair. Congratulations are in store for my opponent after he turns up king queen for the higher 2 pair on the river. Premium hand number 8. I pick up red jacks in middle position, and under the gun raises to $15. Early position re-raises to $40. I re-raise to $120. The early position raiser calls. Would prefer that we get a fold pre-flop, but here we go. Queen 4-6 rainbow is not the worst thing we could see here. He checks, and I'm going to check as well. I don't want to bloat this pot. If he's potentially holding like ace queen, it's going to check to us. I can put in the delayed bet on the turn. The turn is another 6. I bet $100, and this time he folds. Now, I don't know what exactly happened, but I must have had like some kind of time warping black hole open behind me, because premium hand number 9 is the exact same hand as number 8. Red jacks again. This one is less exciting as I raise pre-flop and I just take it down. It's now 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm exhausted. Look at that face. Jeez, that guy needs to go to bed. Let's get our final premium hand of the night before I start snoring with my eyes open. 3:18 in the a.m. and it has finally happened! Not only is it premium hand number 10, but strangely enough, that black hole is still open. We have the same red jacks. What the heck is this? All right, I raise it up to $20 under the gun. Middle position player calls. Flop is ace 6-3 with 2 diamonds. I check the flop and call when my opponent bets $25. Turn is the 6 of spades. I check again. This time he bets $55. I call because he can have some bluffs like flush draws here that I'm beating. River is the 7 of clubs. Action ends up checking through, and my opponent shows a weak ace on the river for the winning hand. I can get out of here and get home and get some sleep. Here's a tired wrap-up from the car.
Yeah, fun session, even though I'm exhausted. Kind of fun to sit there and grind it out for those big pairs. Can't complain too much, really. If I don't punt away a bunch of chips, then it's a way better night. So that's on me. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for being here. See you next time.